It's not an easy answer. So, an autonomous world where my survival is no longer dependent on my ability to generate income would be awesome. Truly awesome. If you can only support creators who provide value and make you think, please consider contributing to my Patreon page the next time you watch one of my videos. Hello everybody and welcome. Today I want to talk about technology and how I see it evolving in our society and what that means for us as individuals and as a whole. Now, a lot of people look at technology and become somewhat afraid. It's advancing very, very quickly, and it's becoming more and more effective and can pretty easily replace humans in most work environments. Now, a lot of people look at this and kind of dismiss it and go, well, there will always be jobs, and there will always be, positions for humans to fill. And that might be true to some extent, but more than likely, 99% of jobs are going to be completely replaced with robotic or AI mechanisms in relatively short order. So it doesn't actually help for you to kind of hide from this evolution and go, well, I'm safe because I'm doing this job or that job. I know that a lot of people have said, like in the industries that I've been in, such as fast food and truck driving, that robots will never replace humans in these environments because you always need somebody in the truck, and people want to see a human face when they go to a restaurant. And I'm like, well, people might like to see humans, and you might need safety measures when autonomous semi-trucks start driving, but honestly, that's only going to be for a very short period of time. And more than likely, if there is an added safety measure at some point in the future, it will also be automized. You're going to have one robot making sure another one is behaving correctly, because ultimately they are better suited for that position. Similarly, a lot of people say, well, doctors, lawyers, those will always exist. No robot's going to be able to replace them. And the truth is, they're actually fairly easy to replace because a lot of a doctor's job is to diagnose, and robots are better at that. They have access to a greater set of knowledge consistently, and they have the ability to be altered to have heightened perception in whatever way you need them to. I believe there's something out there that can almost diagnose you from a breath of air. So that's way better than any doctor I've ever been to. Much less invasive in some instances, and so on. Lawyers, most of their job is paperwork and figuring out, what legal areas apply. And once again, research is better suited to robots, so lawyers are going to disappear too. And this is kind of just a snapshot of how a lot of these jobs that we think are safe probably aren't going to be. And honestly, whatever field you're in, I think it'd be much better to be prepared for this shift rather than assuming you're safe because of the job that you have, whatever it is. I mean, more than likely there is some way, and whether I can tell you how that will happen or not doesn't really matter, because there are so many people working on technology, there's so many people building these AI and robots and whatnot, and they can probably think of things that I will not. More than likely already have. I mean, like the whole concept of printing a pizza. Interesting, fascinating, crazy. Keep working on that, eventually the entire fast food restaurant could be condensed down to little pay stands where you just insert your card, open the box, and your food comes out. I mean, it might not be what we think it's going to look like. Who knows what this will turn into, but the fact that it's going to evolve quickly and rapidly and change things in our world very quickly is pretty much inevitable. How fast that happens, I don't know. Personally, I would rather underestimate the shift than overestimate it, because that means we're getting prepared really soon for a change that might not happen for a while. But my guess is we have the technology to almost handle this shift right now. And once it starts being implemented, the effects and the effectiveness for business owners is going to be huge. And that transition period is going to go over really, really quickly. So I understand why this is scary. You know, you're potentially looking at losing your source of income. You're potentially looking at losing something that you view as your value to the world. You know, you may not have a good way to spend your time anymore. And suicide rates could possibly go up. If we don't put something in place, we could potentially face revolution, because, you know, so many people are suffering due to the shift in economics being so drastic, possibly even a Great Depression. I mean, this could spiral out of control really quickly. And that's not even to mention the technological potential pitfalls, which are humans are programming the robots, and if we don't program them correctly, we could very well end up with robotic rebellions, which would be devastating for humanity. Such as drone strikes, like drone strikes in the hands of one angry individual. You know, who knows what that could do? Probably a lot of damage. Or even programming a drone to be completely autonomous and just picking out villains to shoot. It could be very bad. The good thing about this, though, is that humans do program robots right now. And more than likely, even if we get to the point where robots are programming themselves, the information in the world is sufficient that they would see that it is really not a good idea to kill all the humans. That wouldn't actually solve anything. It would actually create a vacuum and cause more destruction than it would fix. So my guess is robots, given enough information, would reach the conclusion to protect all life sooner rather than later, but we really don't want to go through that transition period of, you know, people programming robots to think that humanity is what's wrong with everything, and then facing the potential repercussions of that. These are all not fun concepts to look at, and yeah, they're scary because we don't know what that's going to look like. We've never been through this kind of shift before. It's going to create a society that we've never seen in our world before. It's a very big transition period. And we have this saying, better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And this is definitely the devil we don't. So we try to avoid it. And that's not going to help in this particular instance, because we need to get active. Now is the time for us to start embracing our individuality and seeing where we truly fit and what our true role is in the world. And from what I understand, especially through my own personal development, is that our role, our place in this world, is to be in relationship with others and to create things. Whatever it is that you want to create. You can invent, you can create artwork, you can create video games, you can create apps, you can sculpt, play guitar, you know, become a musician, you can garden, you can cook. I mean, there's a whole avenue of creative endeavors and potential interests for you to find. So now that I've talked about the negative effects that technology can have, I want to shift over really quick to the benefits that we might get through technology. And this is essentially a completely free world where we have no need of struggling for survival. That's huge. Personally, I am super inspired by that concept. I'm very, very excited to not have to worry about where my next meal is coming from or how I'm going to afford my house and in this case, since I don't have my own house, that I don't have that particular worry, but a lot of you do. And even though I've reduced my costs so drastically, still worry about, well, what happens when the money runs out? What happens then? What happens when I can no longer be supported by the people in my life and I have to find another solution? It's not an easy answer. So, an autonomous world where my survival is no longer dependent on my ability to generate income would be awesome. Truly awesome. Additionally, I would no longer have to worry about doing chores like the dishes, like cleaning the house, like cooking if I don't want to. I don't have to worry about doing a job that I dislike. I don't have to worry about my safety necessarily anymore because, I'll be protected by this technology and by these robots and things like that. And it's going to be pretty cool. There are so many things that I will be freed from so that I can truly pursue my interests, my passions, and my relationships. Really, it's kind of like we will become the wizards and witches of the world, and we can take care of all these mundane tasks with the flick of our hands, and then worry about the true deep issues, develop ourselves, develop our relationships, learn to create and to invent and to have fun with life and to discover and grow. This is the potential that exists within technology if we embrace it. Although honestly, we will embrace it. That's almost inevitable. The question is how many of us will be forced into it versus, how many of us will willingly embrace it and start actively shifting the world towards this concept. Personally, I think it's a much better idea to embrace it now and start shifting our society so that we have control over the outcome. But, maybe you're not ready or willing to do that. And I can't blame you. I mean, it's scary, it's challenging, it's new. Who knows what will come out of it? We can't even say for sure what actions on our part will change how this transition occurs. I can tell you, though, that more than likely what's going to happen is we'll shift into like a reputation-based society. And if you've ever read the Ugly series, he kind of goes into the concept of a reputation-based society in his last book. The Extras, I believe is what it is. And they kind of eliminated the need concept throughout the entire series. But in the last book, they talk about how society has shifted to where you are constantly looking for attention from other people, and that's how you get your luxury items, is through your connections and through your networks and things like that. And I can understand why some people wouldn't want to live in that kind of society. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm the best networker in the world, so, I'm not sure how well I would function in a reputation-based society. But what's cool about a reputation-based society is that you only need to get a lot of recognition if you want it. It's not necessary. You don't have to be a big deal in order to get by. You only have to be a big deal if you want to be recognized as a big deal, which is cool. It's also similar to Star Trek, where, it's only a very small percentage that actually goes into space and explores and finds other life forms and things like that. These are the best of the best. And, then you have other people living on Earth who are never mentioned, but they don't need to worry about their survival. They're worrying about developing themselves, creating new things, living a life, living in relationship with other people, creating a community. So, I see the potential of technology to be something truly amazing, something that I am really excited about. But given the positive and the negative potential that exists in technology, it really points out to me the necessity of us to start developing ourselves. Now, I know that for some of you that might be counterintuitive, but the point here is we live in a very insecure world where most people feel like they're not worthy, they're not valuable, they don't have anything to offer, they're not pretty enough, they're blah 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 blah. I personally struggle with some of these concepts myself, so I totally understand this perspective. The thing is, though, if we want to truly take the reins of our world and start shaping it the way that we want it to be, and there's always going to be some different views on this perspective. And what's cool is we could all live in separate sectors where, to each their own kind of thing. And this is where the community concept comes up pretty well. But if we want to start shaping the world that we live in and the people we care about live in a co-creative endeavor, we have to start looking at ourselves and saying, I am valuable, I do have something to offer, I am a worthwhile individual, people like me. And that is a huge transition. But especially when it comes to people working on technology, it's absolutely vital, because when you have that perspective, you're going to be programming your robots from that perspective, and therefore you're less likely to program a robot to do something that is going to hurt the rest of humanity. So we have lived in a world where nuclear bombs have existed for a long time, and AI has the potential to be far more destructive than that, which is really saying something. We have the capability to destroy ourselves with nukes, and we have the same capability with technology. So we have to be very careful with the way we handle it and use it. Many people are discussing this concept out in the world. But honestly, I don't think we need to be as worried as most people are about these concepts. Because if we start making the changes within us, our inventions will reflect our ideals, and the transition will be a smooth, profitable, and pleasurable one. So, I hope you got something from this video. I hope that you can at least see a little bit better how technology is going to move through the world, at least what I believe is going to happen with technology. And I hope that you can see how the transition might be challenging, but it is necessary for us to actively change it rather than wait for the change to come on its own, because we do play a vital role in this aspect. It might not be really wonderful on the job front, but it is still absolutely vital and will occur no matter what, so we might as well start changing it now. So that's everything I have for you today. I hope this video made you think. I hope you found some value in it, and if you did like it, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave a comment, especially if you have questions or ideas I didn't mention, or if you see some pitfalls in my concepts, whatever the case may be. Definitely leave a comment, let me know what you think. That's all. So thanks for watching. I will talk to you again soon. Bye.